This is Gene from NYC again, and I'm back with another video. Something at least a little more positive than what I covered yesterday. So thank you to everybody who watched that video and who commented. We were all greatly and in many ways irreparably changed by 9/11. And being that this is New York City is the city of my birth and where I live, I could not let Piker's insulting comments slide, right? I try not to do angry rants too often, or if I'm going to rant, I try to have a meaning behind it. But sometimes you just gotta let it fly, right? Sometimes you just have to speak from your heart and shoot from the hip, even if it isn't the most thoughtful thing in the world. But anyway, I want to discuss something I can't say I'm happy about, but I'm not nearly as upset about as I was with Piker and his foolishness. So, first of all, before I get to the topic of the video, thank you as always for watching the videos, for taking time out of your day to hear what I have to say. It means a lot, so thank you for watching, liking, subscribing, leaving comments, whatever it is that you do. Thank you. I think I've also gotten another subscriber. Unfortunately, YouTube didn't tell me your name. So thank you to whomever you are, and thank you to everybody. I only have 114 subscribers, I think it is, but I wasn't even expecting that much by this point. So I'm happy. I'll take what I can get. So thank you all again so much. It means a lot to me. So on to the topic of the video. This is something I've actually been aware of for a few days, but I wasn't quite sure how to cover yet and what I was going to say about it. So, as you may or may not have heard, Disney Plus is getting several shows because they're just reaching into any and everything, into Marvel, and bringing out any character that they can. So one of the ones that they're making a Disney Plus series for is one of my favorite female heroines and just one of my favorite heroes in general, which is She-Hulk, Jennifer Walters. And if you've listened to a few of my videos, or you've listened or watched the video I did about a month ago where I called out Jason Aaron for what I believe to be a completely disrespectful depiction and portrayal of She-Hulk in Avengers 20, I am not happy with the current direction that She-Hulk has gone in not just that particular issue that Jason Aaron wrote, but over the years, right? Pretty much ever since Civil War. And there's been writers like Mariko Tamaki and now Jason Aaron who have taken the character in a very dark direction, and in my opinion, have taken her grossly out of character. It's not wrong in and of itself to take a character and take them to a dark place. That's fine. I have no issue with that. It's that, in my opinion, they're not doing this properly with respect to the character, to who Jennifer Walters is, whether she is herself or whether she is the She-Hulk. And I think if you personally have read or read any issues of Mariko Tamaki's run from a few years ago, I think from 2017, or if you read Avengers 20, or if you watch my video on Jason Aaron, right? The issue isn't that Jen is in a dark place. The issue is that Jennifer Walters is not Jennifer Walters. That they have taken this character that used to be very resilient and was hard to break down emotionally, and made her this character who constantly lives in angst and fear, which is not even a characterization that is even true to Savage She-Hulk. I was actually reading some Savage She-Hulk recently, and there is a point in that story where it does get sort of emotionally dark, right? And She-Hulk begins to represent Jen's anger and her angst and everything. But Jen, even in the Savage She-Hulk series, is never frightful or fearful. She never shrinks away. If anything, in the Savage run, her She-Hulk form basically sort of becomes her armor, right? It's what she uses to fight back against what is troubling her, right? And honestly, what I do like about the Savage She-Hulk run, even if I am not a fan of that particular characterization of She-Hulk, is that for its, in my opinion, kind of hokey writing, there is actually a lot of emotional authenticity and honesty in it, and I appreciate a story where that exists. I am deeply appreciative of stories that have an emotional honesty to it, because, I think we've all, at least once in our lives, and probably more than once in our lives, have felt angry and betrayed, and have sort of, tried to put up this tough front to, confront the world, right? And we sort of lose ourselves in that front because we're hiding behind it, right? We put on this strong front to the world, but we're really hurt inside. But we wear it as a shield because we don't want people to know that we're actually hurting. That to me is what the She-Hulk form was for Jen under the Savage title. But enough about the comics. The reason why I bring this up is because of the, excuse me, it's a piece of dirt on my computer. The reason I bring this up is because of the news that there will not be a She-Hulk series on Disney Plus. And I am not a happy She-Hulk fan to hear that. And I never thought I'd say that because there was a period in like the 90s where they were trying to get, I think it was the 80s and then again in the 90s, so I think there were at least 2 attempts, where they were trying to get a She-Hulk movie done, and She-Hulk had a few appearances in the Hulk cartoon, and all. I would have been so stoked as a little kid if there had been even just a larger presence of She-Hulk, not necessarily a TV show, but even just a larger presence of her in the Marvel, I guess you could say, cartoon universe of that time. But she really didn't appear all that much. So like the eternal 8-year-old that lives inside of me should be jumping for joy at the fact that She-Hulk is going to have her own TV series. Sadly, the grumpy, tired, cynical 34-year-old is not happy about this, and the reason why my cynical adult self is not happy about this is because if the past is the best indicator of the future, then I have no reason to believe that this new Disney series, this Disney Plus series, is going to be respectful toward the depiction of Jennifer Walters, whether it's sensational or savage or anywhere in between. Now let me explain what I mean. As we're all well aware, right, we are living in a post-Me Too world, right? And when it comes to Hollywood and the type of women that Hollywood is trying to present to us through these movies, right, they're nothing like She-Hulk. They keep promoting these unlikable, unappealing, very, not just overly self-sufficient. It's gone beyond, just independent women who don't need no man. It's gone beyond that. And it has become that all of these female characters seem to be very cold, rigid, personalityless, emotionless characters, and we're supposed to believe that they're strong because they have a measure of physical power, because they can break stuff or blow stuff up or shoot energy beams. Suddenly, you're strong. Yeah, I don't buy into that type of BS. And you can see this type of characterization with, most famously, I would say, Captain Marvel, but you can also see it with this new take on Charlie's Angels, right? Charlie's Angels traditionally has always been this very fun, flirty, girly take on movie and TV spy tropes, and now they've made all these characters, mean and angsty and gritty and painfully masculine in a way that's not appealing. There is a way to make a masculine female character and make her cool, right? Like Sarah Connor. But just because being a masculine woman works for Sarah Connor doesn't mean it's going to work for every other female character in every other film, right? Just because it works for Terminator doesn't mean that it works for Charlie's Angels or for Captain Marvel or anything else, right? So there's that. Then if you look at what Disney has done with the depiction of female characters in their own films, right? In these painfully useless and annoying nostalgia cash grabs that they call live action remakes. They have completely removed the warmth and the likability of their female characters. A perfect example, in my opinion, of this is the live action version of Beauty and the Beast that came out in 2017. I saw that film. I sat through 2.5 hours of Emma Watson behaving like a sulky teenager. If I wanted to sit through hours and hours of a sulky teenager, I'd watch old home movies. I mean, really. That was not what I went to the theater for. I spent like $13 on that ticket. It's been 2 years and I still want my money back. But anyhow, Emma's take, and I blame this. I don't usually blame the actor because they typically don't have a lot of say in the role or the characterization. But in this case, I believe this is firmly the fault of Emma Watson and Disney. They decided that Belle's characterization was going to be sulkiness and righteous anger and all this other stuff. And they forgot to make the character sweet and warm and loving and beautiful, right? They were trying to emphasize her strength so much that they forgot what gave Belle her strength. What makes Belle strong is the fact that she does not give in to her more negative emotions. Yes, she breaks down and she cries, but that's exactly it's not one scene, but she actually cries in like 2 scenes. In the beginning, when she trades her life, and then at the end, when the beast dies. But those prefer in 2 entirely different circumstances. But my point is that Belle's strength is in her kindness, is in her warmth. She doesn't allow the situation to break her spirit. That's what her strength is. That's what makes her appealing as a character, right? The beast can't cow her, right? He can't scare her, because either she'll talk back to him or she'll leave the castle if he gets abusive, as we see with the scene when he's, swinging around and almost hits her and all this other stuff. But she doesn't allow the situation to cause her to become this embittered person, right? You can even compare her to Gaston, right? Gaston became this angry, bitter character because he couldn't accept the fact that the girl he wanted didn't want him, right? Whereas Belle loses her freedom, trades her freedom for her father's life, and yet instead of responding with, becoming bitter and angry, she responds with kindness and love. That's her strength. That's what makes her appealing. That's why people like her. And instead, Emma's characterization, in my opinion, when it wasn't just plain childish, like when she's walking, there's a point where they're singing the opening song of the film, right, Little Town. And in the film version, there's this one scene where Belle, and by film I mean live action film, not the animated one. And there's a point where Belle is walking on this fountain or whatever, or the edge of the fountain where all the clothes are, right? And the people have to pull their clothes just before she steps on them. I'm like, that's not something Belle would do. Why would she even do that? There's no reason in this scene why she has to hop up on the edge of this fountain and walk around it and almost ruin these people's watch. Yes, I'd be mad at you too if you did that. But anyway, my point in that little rant is the fact that Disney has mischaracterized their own female icons. So why should I believe that they're going to show She-Hulk any respect as regards her characterization? Now, what I think is going to happen in this TV show is that they're probably going to go with more traditional depictions of Jen and She-Hulk, right? So both sides of her are going to be attractive. That's what I think, because Disney and Hollywood in general can go woke all they want, but they're still in the business of entertainment. And beautiful people are fun to look at. So I definitely think that they're going to cast attractive women to play Jennifer Walters and to play She-Hulk. That, or they'll use CGI for She-Hulk. And I think if they do, regardless of whether they CGI the She-Hulk form or whether they hire an actress to play the part, I definitely think it's going to lean more toward her more traditional depiction. So I think that she'll look, like a beautiful woman. I just don't think that she'll have that beautiful personality that makes her so likable. Sadly, I'm expecting either the personality that she has in the current comics, which is very dark and moody and fearful and is just complete bastardization of She-Hulk, or they might give her this, very hard, personality that seems to be popular with the depiction of women in Hollywood today. The type of Sarah Connor-esque, hard masculine woman that I was talking about earlier. So I have no reason to believe that they're going to be respectful as regards Jen's personality, right? And that, to me, is the most important part. You can have, a great-looking actress and great visuals and all that, but if your characterization is off, I am not interested. And I've got no reason to believe that they're going to treat her characterization appropriately, that they're going to show any respect toward it. Something else that I'm concerned about is actually her backstory, and let me explain. I've read a few articles on this. In fact, just before I started recording this video, I read an article about this on comicbook.com where they talk about Mark Ruffalo putting out a tweet welcoming She-Hulk into the MCU, whatever. But anyway, what I'm concerned about is this little part in the article. And this is something I've seen repeated in multiple articles about this. Excuse me. It's this line here, right? It's talking about Jennifer Walters. It's talking about She-Hulk. It says, a lawyer by day, Walters was given her powers after receiving an emergency blood transfusion from Banner immediately following an accident. I have many a bone to pick with this because to me this is a needless softening of her backstory and how she became She-Hulk. Now, maybe this is being done for the TV show. I don't know. But I've seen on multiple comic book websites that are talking about this, saying that Jen got a transfusion from Bruce Banner because of an accident. That is objectively, factually untrue. It was not an accident. It was a hit job. She was the victim of a mafia hit. She was the target. Okay, the mob sending someone to kill you and those assassins almost getting the job done is not an accident. In the law, this is called attempted murder. So I find it interesting, especially when you compare her to male characters, like say Spider-Man, right? They've never softened the blow. At least I can't think of an instance where they've softened the blow on Spider-Man's origins, right? His Uncle Ben being murdered because he, you know, engaged in bystander syndrome, right? He wouldn't intervene before, and it ended up costing him Uncle Ben's life, right? And typically, just in general, when it comes to comic book movies, right, they are very honest about the background. You take all those different companies, right? You look at, say, DC TV shows and DC movies are very open and honest about the fact that Batman was created when Bruce Wayne was 8 years old and witnessed the senseless murder of his parents. I can't think of one Batman film I've seen or one cartoon or other non-comic depiction of him that has ever shied away from that fact. In fact, that fact about his past has been used to create whole episodes exploring how that impacted him, exploring what happened, all this other stuff. So I find it interesting. I don't know if it's sexism or not. I'm not positive, but I find it interesting that male characters, when it comes to non-comic depictions, right, they're the death, I should say, right, the death and the angst and the pain in their backstories, right, will be respected and will be depicted properly. But when Jennifer Walters is the victim of a mafia hit, it's an accident. Again, attempted murder is not an accident. I'm just saying. So, given all of this, right, given her depiction currently in the comics, given the depiction of women in movies recently, given the Me Too world that we live in that is very harsh and unforgiving and no fun, and again, giving even this, it might seem like a small thing, but I notice these things. Given this, it seems to be softening of why she needed a blood transfusion from Cousin Bruce. I have no reason to believe that this She-Hulk series is going to live up to my standards, right? It may turn out good, right, to others, but I don't think it would be something I would enjoy. I'll continue to keep an eye on this because it's She-Hulk, but I don't exactly have a lot of hope for this. So anyway, that's my thoughts on it, and I will see you again in another video. Have a good day, everybody. Bye.